But you know, it worked. That was really awesome. That was great. Wow. Hey, this place is looking really good and really full, and I'm so excited. Welcome, everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces. For those who don't know me, my name is Janya Anderson, and I'm going to be your MC for today. It's a very, very important day because today is National Cracker Jack. You're ready for baseball season. Woo-hoo! And Kayla, just for you, it is National Bookmobile Day, right? No, right? And I heard some other, right? Remember the bookmobile? Yeah, it was totally awesome. And then the last one, it's many days today, but the other one I was thinking about it is National Teflon Day. Who knew? You know, maybe later, if we need a random act of art, see me later and ask me about my Thanksgiving Day Teflon story. Because Evan and I are living proof that you can actually use little flakes of Teflon as a pepper substitute and still survive. Let's just say I made mashed potatoes with a hand mixer in the Teflon coated. That was, first year of marriage, I think? Yeah, so anyway, we're still here. But I saw National Teflon Day. I was like, oh, Lord. But, okay. Here we go. With that said, I think, guys, is my clicker going to work, do you think? Yes, it is. Okay, so thanks to the tech team. By the way, could we just pause? I mean, guys, great job. Thank you. Woo! Jaden, how does it feel to be just sitting in the audience, right? I know, right? All right. Well, these are our many sponsors that bring this whole thing together every Wednesday, as well as the organizer team. So it takes a city, a couple of cities actually, to put this on. So if you see these folks, please thank them for their support. All right. Do I have, and I know I do, who in here this is their first 1 million cups? Come on, loud and proud. Whoa. Guys, just look around. Oh, that's got to be a record. Oh, my goodness. Okay, see, usually we say this and there's like one person in the audience, but today this matters. Okay, for those of you that are new, 1 million cups, it's a free, and the coffee's free, and the orange mug is free. Free weekly program. We are here every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We bring an entrepreneur on stage. We bring some group that's doing something amazing in Bismarck and Mandan, and they tell their story. And afterwards, we have a chance to give suggestions, ask questions, and really engage with them. And ultimately, the thing we're trying to do here every week is we're trying to change the face of our entrepreneurial or startup community over 1 million cups of coffee. And I think we're doing it. When I look at the faces out here, I know we're making quite a difference. We haven't gotten the 1 million cups of coffee yet, but I'm personally well on my way. All right. And then for those of you that are new and for those of you that don't remember session, Evan is going to be my mic runner today. He's going to run around with this super spiffy, huge orange mug with a microphone in it. So if you've got a question, raise your hand. He'll bring the mug over to you. You can ask your question. They could be questions. They could just be suggestions or ideas or thoughts. And then for those of you, if anyone's live streaming out there, hello, you can just put your question in the chat. Or if you're just feeling shy, you can also use Twitter, #1MCND, and Kirsten will ask the question on your behalf. But don't be shy. It's a very safe place. Plus, you really want to handle this mug. It's really cool. All right. Let's see. We also always have a time for community announcements. So if somebody has something cool going on that they want to announce. I don't think we have any. See, insert announcements here. I was supposed to remove that, and I didn't, so that's kind of embarrassing. Let me just go back one. Do we have, I think, Joe, you had something you wanted to share? And then if anybody else has a community announcement, if you do, and I'm just saying, if you do have one and want something up on the screen, you just send it to us ahead of time. And otherwise, you're just welcome to make an announcement. I know this one's on. That one's on. Yeah.
Good morning. Joe Camise with Bismarck State College. We have a few classes going on I thought I'd share again. Tonight is going to be our introduction to genealogy. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about your family history, want to do something a little fun in the classroom, come on over to BSC. It's occurring tonight from 6 to 8:30. There are still seats available. I just checked with our program manager about 3 minutes ago. So if you're interested in getting a seat, let me know. I can help you get registered for that. And then as a follow-up to the introduction to genealogy, we have a 3-session course on using technologies to do your genealogy work. So if you're interested in learning, about your family through various technologies and resources that are available at your fingertips, feel free to let me know. Those classes run April 13th, 20th, 27th at the same time from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And those are all going to be at BSC. So if you're interested in signing up for those, we really could use a few more people for the 3-class series. So we want to try to offer as many classes as possible. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Joe. And, speaking of classes, though, I want to circle back. If you were here last week and you saw Bianca present, she had mentioned that she had one open spot in her sewing class. So she runs the Sew Connection in Mandan. And Mary signed up for the class, and she said it was awesome. So if anybody wants to learn to sew beyond the common rectangle, which is my personal expertise, if you've sewn enough napkins and placemats and you need to move on to things with a curve in them, Mary can tell you it was really, really good. All right? Okay. I think, and now let's go past that. Look the other way, not there. Okay. Now we have come to the best part of the morning when I actually shut up and I bring Jade up on stage. So our presenter today is Jade. Jade is the founder of HexaHive, and I'm so excited to learn about the name and the business and the whole thing. So Jade, please come on up. And I understand her team's going to come up and do an interpretive dance later, so hang in there.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for having me on today. I'm really excited to talk. I did have one person promise that if I choke up, that she'll come up and tap dance. So debating whether we make that happen, so we'll see. Like Janya said, my name is Jade Scher, and I am a mom of 2, coffee lover, wife, and also the owner of HexaHive. So who are we? I like to say we're problem solvers, we're marketers, we're designers, and really we are your business's bestie. How, you might ask? Well, we are marketing for small businesses with big goals. So what does that mean? We help you get to your goals through marketing. Marketing should be an investment, not a cost, and we're a firm believer in that. And so kind of the key areas that we do that are social media, strategy, website development, and branding. And we'll kind of get to that a little bit more later. But how did we get here? So it was kind of an organic process, and excuse me, the seeds were planted really just being really competitive in college. And you might be like, what the heck does that have to do with anything? So I went to school for graphic design, transferred there for that, and really I had a lot of super awesome classmates that were really good at what they did. And the competitive person in me wanted to get better. I wanted to stand out from them and all of that. And so first I got like an internship at Basin as a graphic designer, and that was amazing, and I learned a lot of things. But alongside that, I wanted more. And so I had a couple different opportunities to start doing freelance. And so I was connected with an agency in Chicago and started doing freelance, and there I really found that I really liked that type of work and just kind of started to do it on the side as a way to kind of just get more well-rounded. And so nurtured those skills through college as I went to BSC and then to Minot and worked full-time as a designer and just focused on how can I get better and how can I really learn the full aspects of marketing and design and everything, so that at the time I wasn't thinking that like that soon I would start doing freelance full-time kind of thing. But it was more like, how can I be more competitive in my career? How can I be more valuable? And focusing on all of those aspects. And so with doing that, I focused on that for several years. I blame my 7-month-old for giving me a cold. And with that, I kind of got to the point where something great just really started to sprout. And so I was able to start working with more local companies once I was done with school and had a little bit more time. And I found that I really liked that like one-to-one interaction working with them. And a lot of the times, depending on who you contract with for an agency, you're kind of just like given this to-do list of like, make this pretty, figure out this, do this. And I like getting to actually sit down with a business and be like, okay, what do you care about? Like, what are you trying to get? And then like, how can like marketing and design like help you get there? And that was when like I really found that like this like thing that I loved started to grow. And at that same time, I had switched and was working at like this software development company. And I really needed to decide like, do I want to commit more there, or do I want to commit more of like this other thing? And I think it was a lot less scary of a leap that a lot of other people have, because they were willing to like take me back if everything crashed and burned. And so it made it really easy to go with that. And then along with that, I had a long-term contract with them that we had just got. So I had agreed that I would quit contract with them, and that really made it really flexible for me, so that like 30 hours a week I was working on that contract, and then the rest of the time, like 20 hours, I was working on growing the business and all of that. So by the time that ended, I was super busy and was able to grow more. And so it kind of just started organically, because I don't know why full-time people terrified me. It felt like this commitment thing. And so I was like, I'm not going to have anyone full-time. I'm just going to have contractors. And so I contracted at the stuff that I didn't like, the stuff that someone was better at, and kind of just balanced it out and started to grow there. And then with COVID, I really I'm trapped in an office alone at my house all the time. And I was like, I just want to be like with people. And I don't want to be like telling people what to do. I didn't like that. I feel like contractors, like they're looking for the next job. They're not like as committed. And so I wanted like people that I could be with day in and day out that cared about our clients like just as much as me. And so one contractor, super awesome, Hannah Hoff, pointing at you, she agreed to come on full time. And so we transitioned into that, and something really great blossomed. And with that, I think we're able to do a lot more for our clients. And since then, so she came full time March of last year only. And now we have this super kick-ass team. And all their friendly faces will tell you what they do after, just hunt them down. And we have everyone from social media to design, photography, writing, and really a breadth of things so that we can come and help businesses within the Bismarck Mandan community. And so what kind of businesses do we help? We pride ourselves on working across all different industries. It's really fun to be able to jump from construction to cannabis to pools to development to software, and really get to work on everything across the board and find different solutions for where people are at. So, what do we do? Well, like I said, we do social media, strategy, website development, and branding. But what do we really do? Because I feel like you say that and people are like, okay, but what do you do? And for social media, that can be everything from coming up with like an ad campaign that helps you get to one of your goals to managing the day-to-day, post, strategy, everything there. For strategy, that's one that's like hard for a lot of people to conceptualize. And really with that, it's like, okay, my business has this goal. Maybe I want to grow, but I'm booked out right now. So then we'd be like, okay, how about we focus on a hiring campaign to help you get more of a team so that you can expand and meet those growth goals? And then working on the marketing with that. And so that's kind of like the day in, day out, like how your small business get the most bang for its buck, and working through that. Along with that, we don't work with direct competitors. And so let's say there's like 2 Luxe home builders. It's like you can't get both of them in the #1 spot on Google in Denmark, and some of that. And so we really pride ourselves in like being intentional with like who we're working with for that, and so that we can best serve them and be the most creative for like their business for where they're at. Along with that, we don't do time commitment contracts. So I want you to want to work with us now and 12 months from now, and not just have a contract where you're like, shit, when's December so we can switch. So I want you to want to work with us every every day, and we don't need that time commitment to try and lock you in, and it's like, oh, it'll be great, we got them for like 2 years. Like, we will scale with where you're at, and so if you're ramping up, we'll scale and we'll go up or down depending on what matters for your business. Along with that, we are also people first. I say that it kind of goes back to like we treat your business like it's our own, and we really focus on that relationship managing with our clients. And we're super collaborative. In the office, I feel like we make a really conscious effort to have a lot of people working on one project. From what I've seen from a lot of other agencies and stuff, it's like you get this, you're handed off, and it's like make this, make this. And so we really focus on coming together for how can we do that and find the most effective solution in that. And lastly, we're scalable. And when I say scalable, I mean down to really small businesses and large. So we care about businesses no matter what the sizes that are in Bismarck Panda. And I feel like with different businesses, a lot of times it can be like, oh, if you only have this budget, then you can come talk to us, and that kind of thing. And we really focus in like, how can we get the most bang for your buck with where you're at today? Because someone needs to help different businesses succeed. And then on the same end, we do have the capabilities to scale up to a lot larger projects as well. So, what kind of things are we dealing with? Well, some of our key challenges are going from like me to we. Several of our clients that like switched over were initially freelance with me, so they were very used to like talking with me, messaging me, like sending a pigeon letter in the mail kind of thing, whatever, and having me being that point of contact. And so it was kind of a process to get it to how can we get clients to feel like all of these other people are championing the brand just as much, and that they can see that when they're not seeing the day in, day out of what we're doing. And I think a lot of clients think that like just because I'm the one talking to them, that I'm the one doing all this stuff. And so that was a lot of communication and everything to get there. And I think one thing that kind of forced us into that was when I had my son in August. So that kind of forced for Hannah to be able to like be that point of contact, and it was like, okay. And then once they started like working directly and only with her, they're like, oh, this is great. And it wasn't as painful as we thought. And then along with that, kind of like the me to we internally, it's like, okay, what parts do I need to be involved in? What parts shouldn't I be? And I really like all the different things, so it's really easy for me to like dive in and just want to do it. So I've had to like try and learn self-control. And like, it tastes good, but it's like if I used a little bit more, it would taste better. If I cooked it for 4 minutes longer, would it be better? And so I feel like right now we're trying to figure out like what ingredients and things like that, like the exact amounts that we got like using right now, shit in, and it came out great. So I think that's kind of like where we're at, but I think that we're really making conscious efforts to like get there. So that being said, what's next? I'm sorry. Really for us, we're focusing kind of on like that process structure of how to better and like more efficiently do things, because we have grown really fast from contractors to like an in-house team, and so really fine-tuning that. I think the only like role that I could see on the horizon would be like a full-time website developer, designer, that kind of thing. But really, I think so far it's always been like I'm open to like someone that is like the right fit, and I wouldn't like necessarily turn anything away with that. And so I feel like right now we're just focusing on how can we better do what we're doing today, and how can we keep improving so that we can serve our clients even better. And another thing that's next, open house, margaritas, nachos, all the fun things, ribbon cutting. Come for the booze, stay for us, meet the team. It'll be great. You can sit around the space, meet everyone, ask each other dying questions that you get to ask today, and really just get to see who we are and all of that. So QR code will take us to our Facebook page, and there is all the details. And if you have any other questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, you can follow us on all the socials, check out our website, stop by, see us, it'll be cool. And
there when you stop using you when you're talking to somebody. You say we. Like, yeah, we've got to sell this, and then you realize, oh, I'm there. I'm in your shoes, and we're gonna do this together. That's awesome. Well, great name. I love it. Okay. Well, I have another question, but hurry up. Okay. This one is actually inspired by someone in our studio audience.
Oh gosh.
Ben, I learned this from you. Okay. So you go from you're doing everything to then having contractors, and now really having, there's 6 of you. That's a good sized business. How have you found the balance of, and this is what I learned from Ben. No, it's okay. There's many things I've learned from Ben that I wouldn't say on this stage. This one I would. This one I would. How do you balance finding time to work in your business versus on your business, right?
Yeah.
How's that been going?
It's definitely something that I feel like I've made progress on, but I need to do more. Like, that's kind of like, Janya was like, can you have the presentation to me end of day Monday? So 11:59 I sent it. Like, PM, yeah. So, like, that's the kind of stuff where, like, if a team member needs something, I always, like, put that above, like, things for, like, myself or my business, but I've been trying to make it a point to, like, if it's on the calendar, I'm doing it at that time, and I can't bend. And figuring that out, I think I also like had a baby in August, and so that was like very much like, how do I kind of like balance things a lot more and like still get sleep and everything there. So it's definitely been like a learning curve with that, and then figuring out like what are the things inside my business that like I need to do. For a while I thought like I needed to be like trying to figure out how to like do accounting stuff, and that like I was ready to like move to Russia or somewhere that doesn't have taxes. And I had like papers everywhere and was like a crazy person, and I'm like, I don't know. And realized that like that kind of stuff like I don't necessarily need to do. I just need to be able to like understand different aspects. And so figuring out like what I have to do and what other people do.
That's great. No, that's great. And what a great conversation for April, right? Because tis the season. Yeah. All right. I see we have a question.
I think about myself in college and right after college, and I was kind of a dummy, just going with the flow of things, and I maybe knew what I sort of wanted to do, but just kind of whatever. And so when I hear you talk about yourself and the very intentional decisions you made and the clarity you had in your goals, I'm jealous. I want to be like you when I grow up, even though I'm older.
Whatever.
Anyway, I guess my question is, where do you think that came from, or is that something that you were aware of? Is that just how you are?
I like to think I got all my dumb decisions out in high school and laid them all out then. But really, I think like a key motivator, I had my daughter when I was 17. And so through a good chunk of this, I was a single parent. And so through college and everything else, I was really focused on like, how can I set an example for her and kind of like be someone that she can look up to. And so she was really kind of like my motivator in everything that I did there, and setting goals and keeping track of that, and like a key thing that kept me wanting to do more and have more so that she could have more.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, woohoo! Great question. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've got another one. I'm doing all right. Jump in here. Actually, I was thinking about this one too. So now you came up to 6 people very quickly, and you mentioned that. But when if I go out to Facebook, it looks like you all have an amazing culture. You have a very fun culture. Have you? You probably haven't had time to think about this, but what do you think? How big do you want to get, and how do you keep that culture right as you grow?
Yeah, that's something that I've been really conscious of. I know like over time, so I definitely don't want to keep growing like as rapidly as we have. But over time, I don't want more than like 12 people long term. I see like more like 10 eventually, but that's like after several years kind of thing, and getting into that, thinking of different roles. But really it's kind of just been kind of like a going with like, what does our team need and what would like help elevate our clients even more, and focusing on that.
Right. Well, that's great. I think we've got a question.
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question to that about your business culture. We were just judging top 10 for YP businesses, so we did deep dive on a bunch of businesses, and you have a couple unique perks of working there, so could you touch on those a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So One of our things is that we do 35-hour billable weeks, and that was kind of inspired by like a previous place that I worked. And I realized that like at the time they had like 40-hour billable weeks, so then you're working like more than 40 and all of that, which isn't necessarily like a bad thing through there. But it was really inspired by like how can people like have like a sustainable culture and want to come to work. I don't think that it should ever be like, whoa, it's the weekend, I don't have to work, because yes, you need time off, but like I want it to be where you enjoy coming to work every day. And so that was kind of where that was inspired from. Along with that, we have like, for a small business, so at least for me, I was always very focused on like good benefits and stuff like that. So we have fully paid like health insurance for employees, which I feel like is something that most businesses that have like 6 people don't have.
Right.
To eat all of that and pay for that. Competitive salaries. I feel like I'm blanking on benefits that I should be thinking of, but keeping in mind for different stuff there, so that like there really is like a culture that like people love coming to work and want to stay there, because I think that that's how you have like the best team and everything there.
Awesome. Awesome. Do we have oh, yes, we do. Hey.
Jade. Just a reminder for you, you guys also ice skate as a team in your parking lot.
Yes. We have a really great landlord that keeps our parking lot ice-free, and it was so ice-free that Hannah was able to skate across the entire thing. It was pretty smooth, so the rest of us are going to learn.
So I don't know if I really have a question for you, but I just want to say that I admire you, and I think you're a badass. I know your age, but everyone in the here doesn't need to know your age for a good reason. But I wanted to just ask you, for being who you are and doing what you're doing at the level of what you're doing it at, how do you come across any challenges in the community based off of your age and I guess a lack of respect, or people, I guess, knowing your age, and then do you get judgment for that?
I guess I feel like at HexaHive I haven't gotten a lot of judgment for that. I've definitely like worked in some places where it was like the good old boys culture, and that was something that like I feel like you should be able to respect me regardless of if I'm like 15 or I'm 50 and all of that. And so like I'm 25, and I don't feel like that's bad to be like younger, newer in business and that kind of stuff. I think it brings a different perspective. So I'm not stuck in a lot of ways that a lot of different places are, where they've been doing something for so long, and I'm able to adapt to a lot of different things. I feel like for different clients, I'm sure like more corporate type ones, we don't work with any really like on that level, and I feel like some of that might come to like being owned by like a really young kind of like startup perspective, but that doesn't necessarily like bother me, because then I just think back to like, would I want to work with those day in and day out if that's like a hold up to them?
Awesome. Thank you. I see we have another question.
So my question for you is, what would your ideal client that were to walk in your door today, what would that look like, or who would they be? What would their goals be?
Yeah, definitely. Ideal client is typically around the size of having probably between like 15 to 50 employees. That kind of sounds like a big range, but a lot of the times I feel like that's where people kind of get stuck at and are looking for ways to like really grow from initial like just kind of bare minimum marketing to a lot more. And with them, it's more not necessarily like what industry or anything, because like I said, we work across a lot of that, but more about like what they value. And so do they value doing things that are different than everyone else, or do they just want, because like their neighbor owns a business and this worked for them and they want to do that? And so thinking about like, what do they value? Do they know their goals? And if not, like, are they open to evaluating that and getting there? Some businesses that I've approached are like very much like, I don't want to like think about it, I don't want to do it, I don't want like anything with that. And it's like, how can your marketing like really succeed if you don't want to like ever acknowledge it? And so ones that are ready to like embrace that. Hey.
Cool.
2 questions. One's kind of silly and then a more serious one. Are you familiar with the YouTube content creator CPG Gray?
I'm not.
You're not? Okay, I'm going to send you a video that he made about hexagons that you're going to really love. So
Oh,
Hey.
all right.
the name of the video is Hexagon is the Bestagon.
I agree.
Yeah.
That might be his new slogan.
Yeah, there you go. And then more serious question, kind of fascinated by your decision to not work with competitors of your clients. How unique is that stance, and have you had to actually turn work away?
Yep. Yeah. So we've had to turn several away. There was a while there where I felt like every chiropractor in town reached out. Like it was like none and then all. And with that, like once we had a contract with one, then it was like if like this one was family focused, and so any others that were family focused, which is a large chunk of them, just refer them to others and say that it's not a like good fit. I definitely think over time we'll lose a lot more business over it, but I feel like we give a lot more value to our clients that we do have for that. Most other like agencies kind of across the Midwest do focus either in an industry or that kind of thing, and they work with a lot of the same businesses. And so ultimately it's like if you're trying to reach the exact same end people, then we can only go with like one. And a lot of times that'll be because we've already had a contract with one, and so then it's kind of explaining that, and a lot of the times they appreciate that. So for me, it wasn't like a big decision, and maybe over time I'll be like, oh, that's super dumb to do that. But I feel like it serves our clients best, and so I've been okay with sticking with that.
Awesome.
Hey, Cam. Good.
I see you guys scaled from like 1 to 6 pretty quickly, and you're looking at 6 to 10. And so can you talk about the challenges that might have been there, and are you thinking of management infrastructure? Because I know how hard it can be managing, 6 to 10 people, all men or all women, whatever that might look like. So tell me, you just had a baby, and how setting some of that infrastructure up, is that important moving forward, or what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so that's something that like bringing Hannah up when I was on maternity leave was really great, because she's kind of like unofficially stepped into parts of that, of being like that like kind of account manager, but also like a leader within the team to everyone. And so right now we don't have like a formal structure of like so and so would like a pyramid type one or anything. It's pretty like lax, but I think that as we like grow in the future, that's something that'll need to be established more, and that's where we've been talking about like different roles and that kind of thing, because I feel like within a creative industry it's kind of hard to manage someone, like if you're above someone and you have no clue like how they do things or what they do with that. And so it's like, do you have someone under like a creative director and a designer under that, and then there's like this bubble and then this one, or what does that look like? So far, like I don't think I'm super helpful with that. I think I've more just been focused on like how do we get the right type of people that are willing to like vocalize and help figure out what that best structure is and stick through that. And so I'm really grateful for like the team that we do have, because they're super adaptable, and they like all speak up with like, what if we did this way? Like we've been doing a bunch of different websites right now, and so it's like, what if we started this part of the process here and then did this, and working through that. And I think while that doesn't necessarily relate to like how we manage, I think it overall relates to like morale, culture, and everything to keep them there while we sort through that.
Awesome. I'm a huge advocate of engaging the people that do the work and helping define what those processes look like. So that's awesome.
Thanks.
I see we've got, hi.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I really like the name of your company. I just have a question for you. For the social media marketing, like when you're doing like search engine optimization and stuff like that, are you able to like give an idea of like how much you're able to help your clients actually, if they are getting leads or return of investment, and how that might look like for them? Are you able to just capitalize on that a little bit more?
Yeah, just on kind of like what that looks like and what that can be, or okay. Yeah, so kind of like I said before, social media marketing and everything can be like as encompassing as you want. And so we really do focus, and like Kendra, our newest addition, is like analytics queen and can really help speak to like, okay, this is doing this, so what if we try this, and that kind of thing. And we're all really focused on like, how can we get the best results within that, and figuring out and pairing with that. And so that can be with like organic social posts, so just like poking on your phone and posting those, or scheduling ads, or a combination, and kind of across the board. And if I'm not answering your question, you can steal the mic back and ask more. But really we try and just focus on like what your business needs in the time. And so for example, like we met with a business the other day that's local, and she was like, I want social media management. And then we're like, okay, well, how are you getting like your orders right now? And it's like a super painful process. And it's like, we shouldn't even bother like doing social media management if you don't fix this. And so we can either help you fix that, or we can do this, but if you want results, like you're not going to get it with this pain point here. Right. And so trying to give like that kind of like full perspective, so that it's not just scheduling an ad and moving on with our day.
Awesome.
So
I'm Trevor. I had a super quick question about your philosophy of not working with other competitors. So
Yeah.
let's say if I'm a chiropractor, I'm not.
Sweet.
But I've been to a few. So like if I was a chiropractor and you've already worked with one, like you will never work with me is how I'm getting your philosophy right. And then my kind of second question is, what if I was the chiropractor that worked with you and then like fell off and now you have that opportunity to work with like a new up and coming and somebody that you're just like, yes, them, I want to work with them. Like how, and maybe you've already, maybe that has that already happened to you and then how did you address it or how do you plan on addressing that kind of issue?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think a good clarifier for it too. So the majority of our clients come to us for like a one-off project, and then we just end up doing stuff ongoing for them. And that's partially how we've grown so fast, because it's like, okay, do this, and then we end up doing like their day-to-day marketing or like strategizing like all year long and doing all of that. So it ends up being a lot more work, and so it ends up being long-term kind of commitment. If it's like a one-off project or that kind of thing, and we're not like actively or potentially working with them again very soon, then I'd definitely be open to like if there's like an ideal client and that kind of thing. I think it really comes down to like actively working with multiple or even doing them kind of like back to back, and what the project is too. So like SEO is something like search engines, like showing up on Google, that's something that's like a day-to-day. And so if two people would both want that, it'd be like, that's just not a good fit because like you can't get them both on the first page of Google. And same with like some social media ads and that kind of stuff. So it kind of more depends on like the type of work. But typically if we're actively working with one, then it's a no-go for the other.
All right. Thanks for the clarification. Kirsten.
Hello. Thanks for being here and sharing all this good stuff.
Heck yeah.
So as a woman business owner in marketing, do you have, I mean, you said that you worked for other marketing agencies, but do you currently have a mentor? What's that like? How do you continue your professional development while you do all the things?
Yeah, definitely. So I like love learning. It was really hard for me to stop going to college for more degrees. I had to like have some self-control, and I was like, it's fine. And so I really try and value that. I'm really lucky that like my previous employer, Alan Peltz from Prominent, he meets with me every month and tells me all the things that like he wished he would have done different or like that kind of thing. And that's been super helpful. I feel like business owners that are like transparent about like, I really sucked at this for a long time, like can really help elevate just like the entrepreneur community so much more. And I really appreciate that from him. Or he's like, we've been trying this and it's been working really well. And I feel like it's been like twofold, because then I can say something that I've learned and we just kind of like help each other. And then along with that, I think like my instructors from BSC, like I had this weird thing all through like high school and stuff, and I was like, I'm never gonna go to BSC, and then ended up going to BSC later on, and absolutely loved it out of like all the different colleges that I was at. And they like, I still talk with them and they still like encourage and everything there, so they've been really great. For overall development though, I really try and like make it a point for different webinars and different stuff there for how to stay like up to date on different things, and then also just like growing in leadership and stuff like that, because that's something that is newer to me.
Awesome. That was an awesome question, Kirsten.
Hey,
Hello,
Phil.
Jade. How are you?
Hey.
Good.
So, 3 things quick. At BSC, yes, I can say she was the same person that she is today. Fantastic.
Woo!
Second thing, does your foot ever get tired from kicking so much butt? Goodness. And 3, how did you prioritize who you wanted to hire and start building out the team first? I guess what was the priorities and how did that flow?
Yeah, that was something that I definitely like struggled with for figuring out what to hire. And I can't remember who gave me the advice, but it was more just like figure out like the right type of person, and then you can figure that out from there. And so that's where like working with Hannah, she had skill sets that I didn't, because like I went to school for design and marketing and blah blah blah, but she had more of that marketing background too, and we were able to like balance each other out, both like in skill sets but also in personality. I'm very like go go go, and she like is really considerate of other people, and I appreciate that because I have to make it like a very conscious effort because to like not get too goal driven and everything with that. And so she was kind of like a no-brainer with that. And then it was like, okay, from her and I's skill set, like what do we need next? And that was where like just thinking through like, okay, for our current workload, like what do we have? And we've kind of explored like internships were like an easy way to where it's like really low commitment because you don't have to think about like benefits and all of that. And so tried that and kind of explored and then kind of just worked our way through different skill sets. And that's where like I feel like it's just a conscious effort like all the time of like, okay, this is a need we have, like is it one that we could fill full time, and if not, like what can we do in the meantime for it, and sorting through that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. These have been really good questions.
Yeah.
And you
I have a
notice.
question.
Oh, you have a question?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Put her up.
He's like, dang.
I've got the mug. You know, you touched a little bit on kind of the sweet spot for clients, and I know that's probably ever evolving. Focusing on maybe small clients for a minute, just based on some of my own experience with small clients that maybe haven't hired certain resources before. Broad terms, not asking for a quote here that you're going to be held to, but what kind of budgetary resources for a small client that could probably benefit unbelievably from these services, but just in general terms, what do you like to see someone coming in with, you know, how much kind of set aside to approach this?
Yeah, definitely. So like I said before, we kind of work with businesses that vary in prices, and so like in the sake of transparency, like different clients, depending on where they're at, are maybe from like $500 a month to like $15,000 a month. And so it can really vary across like what they need and where they're at, because we do work with different size businesses. I think when it comes to like budgets that are any smaller than that, it's like we can really like slowly limp along, but a lot of like what we do initially is figuring out who they are and like overall recommendations for what they need. And a lot of the times that's what they need, and like when that takes several hours, that easily kind of like adds up to that. But after that, it's easier to like either go into like, okay, you need to do this, like if you want to hit this goal. So like, do you want to do it, or do you want to have someone do that, or like do you want us to spearhead that? And like with one of our clients, they got bigger, and it was like, you guys need to hire someone full time. And so I feel like we're really transparent with that, and like we're not trying to like steal all your money and do all of that. And it's like you would be better served having someone full time for marketing, and then we can help and kind of hitting with like what they actually need. And so I really pride ourselves in like not doing like what's gonna like bring HexaHive the most money, but like what's gonna best serve that business.
Setting up the goals. I know it's hard in marketing, so how do you measure that with today's age? It was harder before, it's easier today. Is there some platforms that you can measure more so to show me an ROI on the investment or not?
Yeah, definitely. That'll kind of depend on what we're doing for that, but there's a lot of different platforms there. I think one common like misconception with marketing is I feel like that it all needs to be like, I got so many clicks, but it's like, okay, what do those clicks mean? And I think a lot of places get hung up with like, here's this report, numbers, hi, there's green arrows pointing up, you did good. And like, that doesn't necessarily like mean that you're meeting your goal. And so I feel like we really try and step back to like, what is the business goal that you're supporting? And then it's like, okay, if it's to get more leads and you're getting more people, like sometimes for like brand awareness is a hard one to like directly measure, but it's like, okay, are you getting more calls? Are like, you can measure different things on like how many people are searching on Google and like combine a lot of those to mean something. And that's been something that like for a couple different clients we've been having different team members work on more, is like not just like here are analytics, but like here's what they mean and how they all come together. Because I think a lot of the times like one number can be misleading in like that you're doing way better than like you actually are with it, or that you're not doing as good with it. And so like having that collection that actually represents something.
Sweet. Okay, so this is a great lead into, I came up with a question because my third question that I had canned that I was ready for was ideal client, and somebody already had that one, which was really good. All right, so speaking of metrics and marketing, what does HexaHive do to promote yourselves and to measure that? You knew this was coming.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Maybe-
I'm absolute garbage with that. So
sorry.
No, so we've been really lucky that everything has grown from word of mouth, and I feel like everyone knows that like referrals are the best way in that aspect. And so far I feel like HexaHive has been through like, we've been really busy. I've had a lot of like personal things through, from like getting married. Right after I like started HexaHive, I broke like every bone in my hand, so having a desk job with like one hand is not fun. And like between all the different things, I really was more just like, okay, like when COVID came, I was like the one person that was like, yay, I'm going to have more free time. Like I can focus on HexaHive and market and blah, blah, blah. And then got super, super busy. And so far it's kind of been that like continuously. But I'm really glad that like with like our newest edition, we've kind of shifted some things to really focus on more internal and marketing and getting some of that out. So that's going to be kind of kicking off more in the next like month or so. So I'm excited for that aspect of it. But so far it's just been like making our clients happy and then they tell people.
That's great. That's all right. That's whole in and on your business balance, right? And so,
right.
Yeah. I think, Evan, or do you have
another one?
You have another one? I don't know how many you're allowed, but I think you're still okay. I think you're good.
Got one left. Given the services you provide, not the only provider in town, obviously. So just maybe a few words about, one, how you differentiate a little bit, but then also, what does that landscape look like in terms of cooperation, competition? How have you found that to be here in Bismarck, Mandan?
Yeah. I think there's a ton of work in Bismarck, so I feel like there's a lot of the times this like unneeded competition that doesn't need to be there. There's businesses everywhere that all need marketing. And so I feel like there shouldn't be this like sense of like weirdness, and I think it always like ends up being that way, probably because I'm awkward, but like I feel like that happens a lot, and I don't think it should be that way. For competition, like we've definitely partnered with different aspects of that. Like the Good Kids have worked with like some clients on things, and then we've taken different parts. And with like Mabu, we've taken a like client that they stopped working with because they shifted their focus. But really, I think there's a really big opportunity within Bismarck because like, especially a lot of the agencies focus only on certain industries. And so then that leaves like pretty much all the small businesses like that are there without help. And where like you need to be able to spend X amount for them to like have a consult with you and that kind of thing. And I think that they do really great work and everything. I just think like we serve a different type of like person and are a lot more inclusive too across the board. So, yeah.
That Makewell and Ashton taught me was we were seeing a lot of people participating that had competitive businesses that weren't really competing. They were really collaborating, and that was good to see. So that was kind of maybe a little bit behind my question there. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think
going once.
Going to. Actually,
right.
I think, okay.
Do it?
Well, we always ask the last question, and you've been here, so you know it's coming, but we're going to let Evan ask it anyway at that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. But he's got the microphone, so first he's going to say, it's so good to see this many people here in the audience today. Thank you for being here. Come back next week, because it's really you that make this event what it is. I mean, it's your experience that you can share with these folks, and so thank you for being here. Thanks for all the questions. Now I will ask the final question, finally. And that is, what can we, the Bismarck Mandan 1 Million Cups community, do to make HexaHive more successful?
Yeah. I think just like talking with us, I feel like one of the key challenges is like processes and approach and that kind of thing. So like if you've either hired an agency or have worked at one, like if they structured something really well, how did they do that? And I would love to know that. Or if you're like, this was super painful, I'd love to know that too, to like, so that like we can try and avoid some of that from both perspectives of it in that aspect. And then I feel like the obvious one is like, if you are like in need of marketing or have a friend or someone that owns a business that's looking for someone, we'd love a referral if you're comfortable with that. But definitely just like telling us what you're thinking and that.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank
for
you
being
for
here.
having me.
Hopefully you're feeling a lot of love. That's a lot of applause out there.
Yep.
All right. Well, come back next week, because not only will we have free coffee and really cool orange mugs, but we have fanatics, and so this is a kind of a piece of the Larks, and our very own Isaac from up in the booth is going to come around and be on stage. Woohoo, Isaac! And so that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm already in the mood because it's National Cracker Jack Day, so I'm ready. And then the Amazing Race for Haiti the week after that. And then North Dakota Assistive. So we've got a really cool lineup, so I look forward to seeing all your shiny, smiling faces. Also, if you would like to join us up here on stage, I know we had someone today who It was his first one MC, and he's starting a new business here in Bismarck. So if you like what you saw and you can picture yourself here on stage, or if you know somebody else who should be up here talking about their cool stuff they got going on, just apply to present or encourage them to apply to present. It's a pretty easy process, right? Not too bad. And you can get your slides in at 11:59 p.m. and we're still cool and
Minimal
we still love you.
judgment.
Yeah, very little. I said, hey, you're right. Technically, that's in a day. And that's it. That's it, guys. We'll see you back next week. Thank you.
Yeah. I do have something sad to tell you. Cracker Jack